My dear brothers and sisters, let me begin with a gentle reminder, a reminder that may seem simple, yet it carries the potential to reshape the direction of your life. Every morning, when you open your eyes, you are given another chance, another breath, another moment to choose who you want to be. And sometimes all it takes is one habit, one small but sincere practice to rewrite your future. I want you to pause with me for a moment and ask yourself quietly, what is the habit that is shaping my life right now? Is it a habit that brings me closer to my purpose, closer to inner peace, closer to the person I hope to become? Or is it a habit that pulls me away from myself, away from intention, away from meaning? These questions are not meant to overwhelm you, my dear listeners. They are meant to awaken something inside you, something that may have been silent for too long. Often, we underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. We wait for big moments, grand signs, dramatic changes. But my dear viewers, transformation rarely happens in those dramatic scenes we imagine. It happens in the quiet moments, the early mornings, the late night reflections, the choices no one sees. It happens when you choose awareness instead of autopilot, intention instead of habit, a purpose instead of pressure. And there is a habit, a deeply spiritual and human habit, that can change your entire direction if you embrace it sincerely, gently, and consistently. This habit is the habit of pausing, pausing with intention, pausing with awareness, pausing before you speak, before you react, before you judge, before you give up, before you rush. This pause is not weakness. It is strength rooted in humility. It is leadership crafted from the inside out. It is a form of self-improvement that begins in the heart before it appears in your actions. When you pause, you create space. Space to reflect. Space to reflect. Space to ask yourself, what is my intention right now? Am I acting out of fear or faith? Out of anger or clarity? Out of exhaustion or purpose? This simple question can redirect your entire day. And when your day is redirected, your life begins to shift with it. This is the habit that can rewrite your future. Let me share with you a story. A young woman once came to me, tired, overwhelmed, feeling stuck in her life. She told me she wakes up every morning feeling already defeated, as if she is running behind in a race she never agreed to join. She wanted motivation, purpose, direction. But what she really needed was to return to herself. So I asked her to do just one thing: pause. Every morning, before touching her phone, before thinking of her tasks, before carrying yesterday's exhaustion, she was to sit for 1 quiet minute and breathe. A few weeks passed, and she returned with tears in her eyes. She said, "That 1 minute saved me. It gave me a sense of presence I didn't know I was missing. It softened something inside me. It made me see that my life is not a race, but a journey. And now I feel like I'm walking it with purpose." My dear viewers, this is the power of a single habit. When the heart becomes awake, the life begins to shift. Ask yourself now, what would pausing do for me? What would happen if, before reacting in anger, I paused? Before falling into hopelessness, I paused. Before rushing through my morning, I paused. Before speaking words I might regret, I paused. Imagine how much pain you would save yourself, how much clarity you would invite, how much inner peace you would feel. This pause is the doorway to intentional living. It is the first step toward life transformation. We live in a world that pushes us to move faster, achieve more, produce constantly. But the soul does not thrive in noise. The soul thrives in stillness, in mindful presence, in returning to intention. When you pause, you choose leadership over impulse. You choose empowerment over overwhelm. You choose compassion over judgment. This is personal growth. This is spiritual maturity. My dear friends, the pause is not just a moment. It is a message. It tells your heart, I am paying attention. I am here. I am not running from myself. And when you give your heart this message, something begins to heal. Something begins to align. Something begins to rise within you. Let me ask you again, how often do you pause in your day? How often do you check your intention before you act? How often do you give yourself the grace to step back, breathe, realign, and then move forward with purpose? If the answer is not often, then perhaps this is the reminder you were meant to hear today. This habit will not only reshape your emotional world, but your relationships as well. When you pause before responding to someone, you give space for kindness to enter. When you pause before taking offense, you give space for understanding. When you pause before assuming the worst, you give space for compassion. This is intentional living. This is the path to inner peace. And as you practice this pause, day after day, something beautiful happens. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to make choices from a place of clarity rather than confusion. Your mindset shifts. Your purpose sharpens. Your leadership emerges from within. This is the quiet empowerment that creates lasting change. So today, I invite you to begin this habit, not tomorrow, not next week, today. After this video ends, take a moment to sit in stillness, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself, what is one area of my life where I need to pause more? Let that be your starting point. You do not need to change everything at once. You only need to begin with one sincere habit. One small act repeated consistently can transform not only your routines, but your heart. And when the heart changes, everything else follows. My dear listener, remember this. The pause is not a delay in your life. It is a purification of your direction. It is the moment where the heart whispers truth before the mind rushes ahead. It is the space where you reconnect with your purpose, your values, your higher calling. Do not underestimate the power of intentional living. Or do not underestimate the strength that comes from slowing down enough to hear your soul. This is where real self-improvement begins. This is where transformation becomes possible. My dear friends, you may wonder why such a simple habit carries so much weight. Because the pause is where you reclaim your freedom. It is where you choose your response instead of being controlled by old patterns. It is where you choose awareness instead of habit. The pause breaks the cycle of rushing, reacting, regretting. It invites you into a life of meaning, depth, and conscious growth. Imagine a moment of tension with someone you love. Normally, you would react quickly, defensively. But with a pause, even a small one, your heart has a chance to speak before your frustration does. Imagine facing a difficult decision. Normally, you might choose out of fear or pressure. But with a pause, you can choose from wisdom. Imagine ending your day exhausted, feeling disconnected from yourself. With a pause, even a gentle one, you can breathe, reflect, realign, and return to your inner peace. The pause is your doorway to leadership, not leadership over others, but leadership over your own inner world. The pause teaches patience. It teaches humility. It teaches resilience. These are the foundations of true empowerment. These are the qualities that build a life of purpose. So as you move forward today, try to create small moments of pause. Before you step into a meeting, before you send a message, before you make a decision, before you let your emotions lead you somewhere you may regret. Let the pause become your anchor. Let it remind you of who you want to be. When you choose to pause, even for a breath, you claim a moment of ownership over your life. You remind yourself that you are not defined by pressure or comparison. You are defined by intention. And intention grows in the quiet spaces, in the moments you slow down enough to hear the truth within calling you toward your best self. My dear brothers and sisters, as we continue this journey together, I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a heart that feels lighter, clearer, more anchored. Imagine starting your day not with stress or urgency, but with a gentle awareness that guides your steps. This is not a distant dream. This is a reality that begins with small, sincere choices you make in the quiet pauses of your day. When you honor these pauses, they begin to shape your character. They begin to soften the hard edges of your reactions. They begin to open your heart to wisdom and grounding. And with every pause, you are rewriting your story. You are choosing presence over pressure. You are choosing purpose over chaos. You are choosing a life built on intention, compassion, and inner peace. There will be days when pausing feels difficult, days when your emotions are loud, when the world demands your attention, when your responsibilities seem endless. On those days, the pause becomes even more important. Think of it as a sanctuary inside your own heart, a place you can return to no matter how heavy life feels. When you pause on difficult days, you tell yourself, I am capable of responding with grace. I am worthy of clarity. I am allowed to slow down. And when you give yourself that permission, something remarkable happens. Your emotions settle. Your perspective expands. Your inner strength surfaces. This is self-improvement practiced with mercy, not pressure. It is personal growth rooted in compassion, not perfection. Let me share another story with you. A man once told me that he lived most of his life reacting to stress, reacting to people, reacting to disappointment. He felt like he had no control over his responses, as if his emotions had authority over him. When I asked him to practice the pause, he laughed gently and said, how can one moment change anything? But he tried anyway. Weeks later, he returned with a softness in his voice. He said that the pause helped him see something he had missed for years, that between every trigger and every reaction, there is a space where choice lives, and in that choice, he found freedom. My dear listeners, that freedom is available to you as well. As you practice the pause, you will notice an inner shift. You will begin to see patterns that once felt invisible. You will notice when your mind is rushing too fast. You will notice when your heart is carrying heaviness. You will notice when your intentions drift away from purpose. This awareness is the foundation of transformation. When you notice, you can realign. When you realign, you can act with sincerity. And when your actions flow from sincerity, your life begins to take a new direction. This direction is not defined by the world's expectations, but by your own inner truth. It is shaped by the quiet courage to pause, reflect, and choose consciously. Leadership, my dear brothers and sisters, is not always about leading others. Often, it is about leading yourself back to what is right, what is meaningful, what is true. When you practice the pause, you strengthen the leadership of your heart. You begin to guide your emotions instead of being guided by them. You begin to walk with intentionality instead of drifting through habits. You begin to build a mindset grounded in purpose, empowerment, and clarity. This is how transformation begins, not in grand achievements, but in the quiet, consistent discipline of returning to awareness. Your life becomes more peaceful. Your relationships become more compassionate. Your decisions become more aligned with your values. Let me ask you gently, what part of your life is asking you to pause more? Is it your communication, your reactions, your self-talk, your pace of living? Ask yourself sincerely, without judgment. The heart speaks softly, and you will hear the answer if you listen with humility. And when you discover the area that needs your attention, do not overwhelm yourself with expectations. Simply begin. Begin with one pause each morning, one pause during stress, one pause before sleep. These small moments create powerful shifts. They realign your heart with your purpose. They open your mind to clarity. They deepen your connection with inner peace. As days pass, this habit will start to feel natural. You will find yourself pausing without effort. You will catch your words before they harm. You will catch your thoughts before they spiral. You will catch your emotions before they overflow. And in catching them, you will discover that you are capable of living with more intention than you ever imagined. This is empowerment, not the loud, external kind, but the quiet empowerment that grows from inner discipline and spiritual awareness. This kind of empowerment reshapes your confidence. It gives you strength that is steady, not fragile. It gives you clarity that is calm, not rushed. Do not be surprised if this habit brings healing to your relationships as well. When you pause before responding, you create space for listening. When you pause before judging, you create space for empathy. When you pause before assuming, you create space for understanding. This is how hearts reconnect. This is how trust rebuilds. This is how compassion grows. The pause becomes a bridge between you and others, allowing your interactions to be rooted in kindness rather than impulse. And when kindness becomes your default, your presence becomes a source of comfort for the people around you. My dear viewers, remember that transformation is not measured by how perfectly you live, but by how sincerely you try. Some days you will pause beautifully. Other days you may forget. That is part of the journey. Growth is not linear. Healing is not instant. Purpose is not discovered overnight. But with every pause, you step closer to the person you are capable of becoming. With every pause, you strengthen your mindset. With every pause, you deepen your self-awareness. Do not underestimate the power of these quiet steps. They are leading you somewhere meaningful. As we close this reflection, I want to leave you with a gentle reminder. Your life is shaped not only by what you do, but by the intention behind what you do. The pause, helps you return to that intention. It helps you purify your direction. It helps you choose with clarity instead of rushing through habit. Let this habit become a gift you give yourself every day. And if this message resonated with your heart, my dear brothers and sisters, I invite you to share it and to subscribe for more reminders that support your spiritual grounding, your emotional healing, your personal growth, and your intentional living.